Hello, class. Good morning. Okay, so I have decided to conduct this online discussion because I was able to talk to some of your classmates and they said you're only very few at school right now. And also, I created a poll in our GC. So, in order to assure the continuity of our classes and for our lessons not to be delayed, I decided to have this pre-recorded discussion. Okay, so this is for analytical chemistry. So this is the topic right now. Supposedly, this is the one that I will be discussing this morning, and I also uploaded the notes in Teams yesterday. So hopefully, you can already access that one. Okay, so this topic, errors in chemical analysis. So this is very important class, especially with your job as medical technologist, because again, the terms accuracy and precisions were presented to you previously, right? And if there is accuracy and if there is precision, that means the results that we are releasing, the process that we are conducting, the testing and the experiment that we do in the laboratory are reliable. So if there is reliability, there is accuracy and precision. And errors, of course, must be avoided to maintain that reliability, to maintain the accuracy and precision. Okay, and with that, what is an error? An error refers to the difference between a measured value. So this measured value is the one that you obtained from your measurement, from your experiment, from your testing. So this is the obtained value. Like what machines are you using? Are you using a manual machine? Are you using an automated machine? So whatever method or whatever instrument or machine that you are using, then that machine can give you a result, can give you a value. And how will you know if that machine or instrument is giving you an accurate value, right? How sure are you that the value that you obtain from that method is reliable? Of course, you have to compare it with a true or known value. So, with the use of reference methods, right? Because you will not know, okay, if the value is erroneous or not without the reference methods in the laboratory. So if there is a difference between what you have obtained and the reference value that you are using in the laboratory, then it is presumed that there is an error. Okay? And take note, class, that error often denotes the estimated uncertainty in a measurement or experiment. So, meaning to say, okay, if there is an error or there is a difference between the true or known value and your obtained value or measured value, then you cannot release the result. You are not certain if the process that you are using is reliable or not. Okay? So you have first to resolve the error before releasing a result or before continuing with your analysis. Okay? And of course, what are the reasons why errors must be avoided? So number one is patient's safety, right? So why is it very necessary for us to medtechs to make sure that our that our processes in the laboratory are accurate and precise? Is of course we are serving our patient, and by serving them, we need to make sure that we are releasing correct results, reliable results, accurate and precise results. Okay, I will give you one particular example where a student of mine, okay, committed an error, okay, with the use of a glucometer. Okay, do you know what is a glucometer? Glucometer. So it's an instrument, it's a handheld instrument that we use in the laboratory to measure blood glucose. So it has a digital screen there, and of course you have buttons wherein you can press to turn off or to turn on the glucometer. And there is an area either here at the bottom where you can put the strip, and of course that is where you are going to put the blood of the patient. Okay, and once the drop of the blood of the patient, okay, is already in the strip, then you can read, okay, the result here on the screen. So let's say 85 milligrams per dl. So that is what you will see. If it is 100, then you will see 100. If it is 92, then you will see 92. Okay, this is one of the things that I will not forget in the laboratory with the use of glucometer. This is a simple procedure, but it can put the patient's lives at risk. Okay, so what happened was my student saw this one. So this is the reading of the glucometer. So that's the reading. And then, okay, the student went to the ER. Okay, he's alone. And then when he went back to the laboratory, he said, Miss, the blood sugar is 81. That's 81 milligrams per DL. So to make sure, I reviewed the result of the patient using that glucometer. Because in a glucometer class, you can long press sometimes the button or you can review the results, okay, the previous results. And I saw this one. Okay, and I told that student, this is not 81. Okay, that is high. Okay, so the student told me, Miss Abby, ko lobat lang ang glucometer nga nadula na di o ang sa babaw. So he assumed it's 81. But in actuality, the blood glucose of the patient is very high that even the glucometer can no longer measure it. So there is this limit in the glucometer that if it is beyond the limit, if the result is beyond the limit, it will not give you values. It will tell you low or high. Okay, so in this case, okay, what is projected in the glucometer screen is high, but the student reported it as 81. 81 class is a normal blood glucose because the fasting blood sugar, let's say for example, okay, is normally within 70 to 100 milligrams per DL and 81 is normal. Okay, but the student reported it as high. Okay, so what can happen? So the doctor will assume that the patient has normal blood glucose. So there will be wrong diagnosis. Okay? And because of this wrong diagnosis, very simple error that was committed by the medtech student, okay, it can lead to improper treatment or medication. Okay? And this can put patient lives at risk. So that is one classic example. Another one is accurate diagnosis. Remember, the laboratory results that we are releasing in the laboratory can guide the clinical decisions of who? Of the physicians. And they can mislead the physicians if ever, okay, there is inaccurate diagnosis because of wrong laboratory results, because of erroneous laboratory results. And because of that, it can also lead to improper disease detection and monitoring. Okay? Another thing. So again, treatment and monitoring. Okay, the doctor might over or under treat the patient, and of course, it can delay recovery of the patient. Like in the example that I have given you, the blood glucose of the patient based on the result of the student is 81. So if you are a doctor, will you give a medication that lowers the blood sugar of the patient? Of course not. You will search or you will analyze again or you will request for another test that could probably speak of the condition of your patient without knowing that the result is erroneous, that in actuality, the blood glucose of the patient is really very high, that the glucometer cannot read that one. So it can delay the recovery of the patient. Okay, and of course, public health impact. Okay, errors affect disease surveillance. It can lead to wrong public health decisions, and of course, it can impact outbreak control, particularly, for example, those diseases that are endemic to some areas. Okay, I remember my teacher before told me about um the the endemic the malaria endemic in a particular town in the Philippines. I forgot where it is, but the researchers were looking for the reasons why there is a sudden outbreak of malaria in that particular town or in that particular area or locality. And then they were searching for the homes, the houses, okay, the practices of the residents, etc. But they couldn't find anything. Okay, they couldn't find the mosquito that causes the malaria. Okay, so what they found later on, after they searched, after they investigated, was that ang sangas, ang saging, ang stalk, for example, this is the saging, ang stalk ang saging. Okay, ang naiya nga puno. And then, muniya nga dahon. Diri dampi, this one, okay, in that part where the water can be stagnant, dira dali ga-start ang lamok. Okay? So that's where they have started the treatment. That's where they have started the elimination of the source of the disease. So if ever they have wrongly diagnosed or wrongly investigated, okay, the area, the patients, for example, then it can impact outbreak control, right? So it can lead to wrong public health decisions. It can lead to false alarms, for example. Okay? Another thing, if you are also having a laboratory business, then of course it can affect the credibility of your laboratory. And class, as a business owner of the laboratory, I always remind my medtech, we the owners always remind our medtechs to always make sure to double check and to counter check and to verify the results before releasing. Okay? Normally, class, in the laboratory, there are two medtech signatories, and of course, you cannot release the result without the signature of the pathologist. But in our lab class, there should be three medtechs who should sign the result. So number one, the medtech who process, okay, the specimen. And then number two, it should be counter-checked by another medtech. And number three, it should be verified by the chief medical technologist. And of course, number four, the most important, is the signature of a pathologist. So by increasing the number of people who verifies, the number of people who verify or check the results, then we can be certain that we are releasing accurate and reliable results from the laboratory, right? So it depends on the laboratory on how they can improve the testing, on how they can eliminate errors, on how they can maintain accuracy and precision. But as medical technologists, please remind yourself always to be conscientious. How do you call that one? To be certain always of the laboratory results that you release, because the patients depend on you, and one wrong mistake, okay, can lead um to compromised reputation of the laboratory. And of course, it can lead to legal consequences, right? Okay, the patient might sue you because of the wrong results, or the patient can post you on social media because of the wrong results, right? So, laboratory credibility. And of course, this is also one of the things that we do in order to make sure that errors are not present. So, we also have this in biostatistics, right? Replicates. Okay, are samples of about the same size that are carried through an analysis exactly the same way. So, in your research, I don't know if you have conducted this, usually when you test a particular substance or a particular sample, you don't just test it once. Sometimes there are triplicates or sometimes more of that. So in order to improve the reliability and to obtain information about the variability of results, usually how many class? 2 to 5 portions or 2 to 5 replicates of a sample are usually carried through an entire analytical procedure. So replicates class, does it improve accuracy or does it improve precision? Replicates. So you examine the samples more than once, 2 to 5 times, for example. So it speaks more of the precision of the result, the reproducibility. Remember, precision is reproducibility, right? So no matter how many times you repeat the procedure, you repeat the testing, you obtain the same values. But if you repeated or you had a lot of replicates, then you have values that are far from each other, then there is no precision. Meaning to say, there is an error in your analysis, there is an error in your experiment. That's why replicates are very important. Okay? And this is also one of the methodologies that the laboratories use in order to be certain, okay, that the process is error-free. Okay, so this is Six Sigma class. This was developed by Motorola, okay, to reduce defects or errors. So Six Sigma. In your CC, you will learn another word, lean, but it's a different thing. Six Sigma is to reduce defects or simply to reduce errors. For lean class, for lean, that is a process developed by Toyota. Six Sigma is developed by Motorola. Lean was developed by Toyota. Okay, so this lean naman is to reduce waste. Okay, meaning to say those are not helpful in the process, they will be eliminated. For Six Sigma, okay, to reduce, okay, basically the errors. Because of course, few errors can lead to better performance. And what do you notice? Okay, what companies develop this Lean Six Sigma? The Six Sigma and the Lean, we call them generally as Lean Six Sigma. Okay, Six Sigma again reduces the errors or defects. Lean reduces the waste. So that's why it's called as Lean Six Sigma. But for this table, I will just focus on Six Sigma. Okay, so what do you notice? What are the companies that develop them? The Motorola and Toyota. Because of course, class, if you are a car manufacturer, there should be no room for error for the production of the cars. Okay? So, mapatay ang pasyente kung may sala lang sa parts na ginbutang mo sa salakyan. Mapatay ang pasyente or madisgrasya ang pasyente if there is an error. That's why this one, the Six Sigma, was developed by Motorola. And as what you can notice here, you have the word DPM. What is DPM? That's defects per million, meaning to say error per million. Take note, class, that the higher the sigma, the lesser the error. That's why the world class sigma metric is 6. Meaning to say in 6 sigma, there is only 3.4 defects per million. Okay? So, defects per million, that's 0.00034%. Okay? How about 1 sigma? 69% error. Okay? Or erroneous. 691,462 defects per million. Okay? So, meaning to say, if 69% is erroneous, only 31% is error-free. So that could compromise the lives of the clients, right? Like purchasing a car or a unit of a vehicle, for example. So that's why the higher the sigma, okay, the lesser the errors, the lesser the DPMO, defects per millions. Okay? And of course, aside from that, as what I have mentioned, aside from reducing or lowering the defects or errors, of course, the quality of care that you are giving to your clients, in our case, in the laboratory, the quality of care that we are giving to our patient, okay, is of course improving also. And we can save the cost in the laboratory. Okay, we can eliminate the waste. We can eliminate the waste by using this lean process. Okay, so like for example, we can avoid reruns or reinvestigation or reprocessing, like mga unnecessary steps. Okay, and we can also conserve the time of the staff. Okay, right, because they are working for us. Okay, so in the laboratory, this is one of the tables that I have saw, and this one compares the different machines used for cholesterol, CREA, glucose, mga analytes class. So like this one, Abbott has 7.67, so it's 8 sigma. So meaning to say this is more reliable as compared to Take Note. I'm not endorsing anything, but this is based on the actual result released by, of course, the laboratories using these machines. Okay, so you have the Siemens, the Roche, the Ortho, the Beckman, the Abbott, the Thermo. Okay, and this is also with the use of CILA. Okay, na goals. Okay? So, in creatinine class, okay, what is the one with the highest, okay, sigma metric? Okay, so 7.35. So, this green class, these are the processes wherein the errors are lesser, or it's within the standards, okay, of the laboratory, especially this one, the standards set by the CLIA. Okay? Clinical Laboratory Improvement Amendment, CLIA. Okay? Okay, next one. This one. So what are the different things or tools that we can use in the laboratory to achieve accuracy? Again, accuracy class is the closeness of the measured value or the obtained value to the actual value, to the true value, to the target value, right? So number one, we are using blank solution. Class, a blank is a solution. Okay? It's not a blank, just fill in the blank. A blank is a solution. What is the purpose of the blank? It's to cancel out or to zero the absorbance of all other components in the sample except the component whose absorbance is to be measured. Class, I'm speaking of absorbance. So this one class, this blank is usually used if we are using a spectrophotometer. Okay, spectrophotometer. Okay, so I don't know if some of you were already exposed to the functions of spectrophotometers, but to simplify it, okay, if this is your spectrophotometer, you have a sample holder here. Okay, you have a sample holder in that spectrophotometer wherein you will place, of course, your sample, right? So you will place your test tube here. Okay, and of course, okay, you have here, let's say, the serum sample. Okay, that's where you're going to place the sample. And then, of course, remember the spectroscopic method that I have mentioned to you. It makes use of the different spectrum of light, right? So like red, and then you have orange light, you also have yellow, you have green, for example, you have blue, you have indigo, you have violet, okay, rainbow color, right? So that is coming, of course, from the light source in the spectrophotometer. So there is a light source there, okay? And then there is a part in the spectrophotometer that will only select one type of light that will pass through the sample. So it depends on the wavelength that you are using. That's the symbol of the wavelength. Okay, so for example, if the medtech chooses a wavelength that corresponds to color green, then only color green will hit the sample, right? And that green light will be absorbed by, okay, will be absorbed by the analytes, okay, present in the sample. And some of the light will be scattered. That's why we call the absorbed light as the absorbance. So the more light that was absorbed by the analytes, the higher the content of that analyte. The lesser absorbed light, the lesser the content of that analyte. So that is absorbance, the absorbed light, okay, by the analyte present in the sample. So kung damo sila may gin-absorb nga light, but silingon damo da ang amo na nga analyte. Kung jutay ang na-absorb nga light, then jutay ang amo na nga analyte. Okay, that's the basic of spectrophotometer. But what I'm trying to emphasize here is the use of a blank. Take note, class ha, ang spectrophotometer itself has a light source. Buod silingon, dira na yan naghalin mismo sa spectrophotometer ang light. Hindi niya halin sa suga sang laboratory, hindi niya halin sa suga or sa sunlight o kundi inda. That is the reason that before you analyze or you determine the absorbance of the sample, ginaano nyo, ginatakluban na siya class ang okay, ang sample, ginat-coveran siya para ang mga suga nga ara sa room, ang mga unnecessary light will not pass through the sample. Kay karon class, anong matabo kung open lang na siya? Open lang ang spectrophotometer. Aside sa light nga naga-pass through halin mismo sa spectrophotometer, what will happen? The external light source will contribute to the absorbance, di ba? Kung amo lang ni kadutay ang ginabsorb nga light, supposedly sang sample, kag amo lang ning halin sa spectrophotometer. How about naman niya ang mga wala labot? Okay, ang halin sa gwa, they will also be absorbed. So what will happen to your absorbance? It will increase, right? Okay, so that is the reason we will use a blank solution para i-cancel out or to make sure i-zero ang absorbance before the analysis of the sample. Buot silingon, antes mo ni i-analyze ang sample, natakluban mo ng spectrophotometer, tapos na zero mo na ang absorbance reading. Hindi pwede nga antes kada mag-measure sang absorbance sang sample, naka 1.5 na siya. Dapat ang makita mo anay zero gid siya. Buot silingon na cancel out, okay, ang absorbance. Wala na sang interferences coming from other external sources. And you are sure that the absorbance that you are getting is only coming from the absorbed light, okay, by the analyte in a patient sample, okay, in a while class. Sit down the app. Okay, sige. So is it clear, class? So we use the blanking procedure in order to cancel out or to zero out the absorbance of all other components in the sample. So meaning to say, we are only getting the absorbance of the analytes that we are measuring. So that blank class, that blank solution is used in the spectrophotometers. Okay? And we are using different types of blanks. Okay, let me just clear that one. Okay, number one is the water blank. Okay, take note, class, that usually a water blank is used if the reagents are colorless. Syempre, ang water wala man na color. So if you are using reagents in the laboratory that are colorless, then you might as well use water blank. For sample blank, okay, this one, you are using the sample blank to correct for the potential errors because of the color of the sample itself. Like for example, your sample is turbid. Okay? Like for example, the sample is hemolyzed. Okay? Or let's say icteric ang sample. When you say icteric, class, that is yellowish. Kay kung sa skin na siya, sa mata na siya sa tao, we call it jaundice. But kung sample naman niya, we call it as icteric. We don't say la jaundice ang imo sample. No. It's icteric ang imo sample. Yellowish ang imo sample. Okay? Instead of saying jaundice. Pero kung lawas mo naga-yellow, panit mo naga-yellow, then that is naga-jaundice ka. Okay? Of course, kung turbid, cloudy na siya, or hazy ang sample, hemolyzed, nagapula na ang serum instead of yellowish pa ang serum. Icteric, again, yellow or dark yellow ang serum. Okay? Or this one, lipemic. Magamba ka lipemic. Okay? Gakaylus, nagaputi na ang serum kay tungod sang high lipid content. Okay? So again, class, we are using a water blank if we are using reagents that are colorless. Okay, we are using sample blank if we want to correct the errors that are inherent because of the color of the sample. We want to correct, okay, the errors because of the colors of the sample. How about reagent blank? Okay, this one, if the reagents that you are using are colored. Si water blank, ya class, colorless nga reagent. So water blank lang ang gamiton mo. Pero pag ang reagents are colored, then you use reagent blank. Okay? So usually sa chemistry class, ang ginagamit, ang ginaubrata na siya, okay? Ang absorbance ng reagent, gina-automatic na na-subtract sa machine okay, sa absorbance ng sample. Pero kung mano-mano, then ikaw na iya ang masubtract. But the machines right now, usually, if spectrophotometric ang iyang principle, the machine itself will already subtract the absorbance of the reagent blank to the absorbance of the patient sample. Okay? So to make sure that there is accuracy in the sample, in the process, in the experiment, number one, we use a blank. Okay? And the blank is to what? To cancel out, to zero the absorbance of all other components, to make sure that external light sources does not contribute, okay, or the external light sources rather do not contribute to the absorbance reading of the sample. Okay, what else? Okay, aside from blank solution, we use this standard solution. Okay, we run the standard the same way we run the patient's sample. So kung paano mo ginatest ang sample ka patient, amo mo man na i-test ang standard solution. Okay? And this is a 100% pure substance. Kung baga class, known na ni ang concentration niya. Predetermined na ang iyang concentration. So take note, a solution that contains a specified concentration of a parameter. So known na ang iyang concentration kung 5 mg per dl na siya, kung 100 mg per dl na siya, na-measure na siya sa mga professional organizations nga nagabaligya sang standard solution. Okay? It is accurately weighed and prepared. Wala na taniyang gaobra sa laboratory, ginabakal ta na lang na siya. And take note, what is the main function of the standard? It is used as a reference for the unknown. Ano ning unknown? Ang unknown class, amo na siya ang patient's sample. Okay, that is the patient sample. And as what I have said, class, okay, as what I have said, you run the standard the same way you run the sample. Okay, pakitaan ta kamo sa picture ha, this one. This is an example of a reagent kit for glucose. So, isa na siya ka box. Sa sulod sang box, may makita ka na nga reagent. Ara siya klase of glucose reagent, kung pila na siya ka ml, diin mo na siya i-store. Okay, may nabutang man ang mga expiry nila, etc. Okay, and this one, okay, this is the standard. So, tanan nga reagent kit class, may upod ginaiya nga reagent, kag pinaka-importante, standard. Hindi ka mo magbaton sang kit nga wala sang standard. Okay? And take note, ano ganing standard? Known na ang iya nga concentration. Tama? So, as what you can notice here, pila ang concentration sang glucose standard? 100 mg per dl. Okay, naisindihan ninyo? So in short, na-measure na siya nga ini nga standard. Kung i-test mo siya sa machine, ang magwa nga result is 100 mg per dl. So kung hindi 100 mg per dl ang magwa nga result, buot silingon, base expired na ang inyong nga standard, base na deteriorate na ang inyong nga standard, so kinanglan nyo na islan. Or base, guba lang inyong machine. Or base, wala lang nakalibrate ang inyong machine. So it's a case-to-case basis as long as you know that the standard solution has a known concentration. And once you measure the concentration, it should give you that known concentration. Okay? Like for example, class ha, nagwa ka duha ka test tube. Okay, nagwa ka duha ka test tube. Okay? The first test tube, you label it with a standard. Okay? The second test tube, you label it unknown. Ano ganing unknown? That is the specimen of the patient. Tapos, gibutangan mo da siya sang serum. Amo nang unknown. Ariya, amo ni siya ang standard. So, nagbutang ka di standard. Okay? Tapos, nagbutang ka man da reagent. Okay? Nagbutang ka da reagent. Tapos, mix-mix mo. Nagbutang ka man da reagent. Tapos, mix-mix mo. And then, later on, develop mo siya. Ma-change na siya color class. So, ang isa, for example, this one, nag-darken. Ari isa, medyo light lang. Pila ganing concentration sa standard ta? 100. Mabalaan mo na class kung taas or nubo ang imo nga standard solution or ang imo nga, result sa patient depende sa color sang standard kung naga-manual ka nga method. Let's say, ari siya, amo ni siya ang presumed nga 100 mg per dl. What if nipis lang ang color? ano na siyang good silingon, high or low? Of course, low. Kay dapat kung 100 milligrams per DL, amo ni siya kadukot. Pero ari siya ya very light. What if naman binag very very dukot, nagpula na gid siya yabi, nagdark na siya. Butsilingon taas na siya ang result ka patient. So you see, we use the standard as a reference for unknown. So kung 100 ni dapat amo ni color. Kung darker di, mas dark na ang color. So mas taas na ang result. Kung lighter di, so mas nubo na ang result ka patients because we use the standard as a reference for unknown. Pag known na ning iyang concentration and it helps us achieve accuracy. Okay? How about the one that we used, okay, to monitor precision? Ano ganing precision, class? The nearness of the obtained values or the measured values to each other. And we use control solutions. Class, kung ang standard, isa lang ginaya like 100 milligrams per DL. Ang control ya class, naka-range na siya usually. Like for example, 90 to 100 milligrams per DL. Wala na siya naka-exact value just like your standard because your standard class is a known concentration from a pure substance, 100% pure substance. That's why exact ang iyang concentration. Ang control naman niya class is just ano siya, determined ba ng value ya? Yes. But again more specifically, it can speak of the precision, but also it can speak of the accuracy, but it's more of the precision or the reproducibility of the test. Ano ni siya class ang control? Ang control class is a solution nga halina siya sa lain-lain nga sources nga gin-combined into one. Okay? Like for example, in the laboratory, gusto mo mabalaan ang control values sa mga classmate mo when it comes sa ila glucose. So, nagkuha ka 20 ka classmates mo. Nagkuha ka 20 ka samples. Tapos, ginpang measure mo na isa-isa ila glucose. And then, sa 20 nga ina, tanan sila normal, for example. Okay? So, gin-combine mo na ang tanan nila nga serum. Like, tanan nila nga serum. Ang 20 mo ka-classmate, gikuhaan mo dugo. Tapos, ang serum nga na-obtain mo sa ilaging combine mo. Tapos, gin-measure mo. Okay? Ginkuha mo ang standard deviation kag ang mean sang glucose sang classmates mo nga source ng specimen mo. Okay? And when you already get the SD, okay, that will now be your control values. So let's say 90 to 100 ang na-measure mo, na-calculate mo to, then that will be the control value. So later we will have that in our discussion. Okay? So a control solution class is to monitor precision. Okay? And of course, the value is also predetermined. And ano ni siya hambal ko? It resembles appropriate human samples. Kaysang una, combine lang na ang mga patient sample to create control. But right now, may ara na kasang tawag di, acid na nga daan kag commercially available na. But before class, ang mga medtech pa na ang nag-prepare sang control solutions. Okay? There are no matrix effects. It is stable. Or wala siya known matrix effects. Like, hindi siya affected sa mga other substances or analytes present in the sample. Okay? Stable ang iyang temperature kung i-store mo siya correctly. Okay? And speaking of which, stable for prolonged periods. Okay? Disease-free siya. Again, just like your standard, it's known ang iyang concentration, pero hindi siya ya exact ang value. In range siya ya. Okay? Convenient packaging for easy dispensing and storage, and of course, it should be inexpensive. Okay? Pag sa laboratory class, may ara tatlo ka types ng control. Number 1, normal. Okay? Number 2, pathologic. May sambal mo tatlo nga aduha lang man na. Because for pathologic class, may ara sang abnormally high kag abnormally low. So tatlo. So normal, abnormally high, kag abnormally low. Mga pathologic na siyang abnormally high and abnormally low. Ang normal control class, ginkuha na siya halin sa mga normal nga patients, like normal ila glucose, so sila ang source. Okay? Ang abnormally high sa mga tag-as nga glucose, ang abnormally low sa mga nubo nga glucose. Okay? So, kada control, kada analyte class lain-lain ang aton nga sources. Okay? It could be a human sample or pwede man ta magkuha sa baka. Okay? Ang bovine serum. Amo na siyang pinaka-common nga ginagamit. Okay? As a control. Wala ang tagakuha sa tao. Usually, bovine serum ang ginagamit. Okay? So, this is the example of the control. So, 1, normal. 2, okay, abnormally high, abnormally low. So, depende na siya klase sa manufacturer. Okay? So, this is another one. So, normal, wala siya number 1, but normal, pathologic, okay? So, usually, depende ang pathologic, abnormally high na siya, ari lain calibrator niya. Okay? So, you have normal and then you have pathologic. So, duha lang ni ka-control ang gigamit nila. Okay? And where do we base the values? This one. Depende sa analyte. For example, okay, for blood glucose, this one. Okay? So, for blood glucose, we have, okay, this is the target value, the first column. The second one is low, the second one is high, and then you have the first SD and the 2SD. Sa laboratory, class 2SD usually ang ginagamit natin. Okay? So, for the glucose, for example, in milligrams per DL, what is the target value? 279. Okay? This one, this is ang low nga interval niya and ang high. So, buot silingon, kung mag-measure ka mo sang control, dapat ang values niya, okay, with the use of the hexokinase method is between 237.15 to 320.85. Buot silingon, kung nag-run ka mo control, kag nag-fall dira, ang value niya, much more kung 279, kaya muna ang target value. Buot silingon, may precision ang inyong process. Okay? So, hindi ka mo mag-release sang result kung wala ka mo karan control. Ang control, ginarun na siya usually until ka mo mag-check or mag-analyze ang patient's sample. Amo man ang standard class. Ang standard, gina-analyze na siya before you run the patient's sample. Okay? So, that is to monitor precision. What if the control values for glucose that you have obtained is 220? O ara siya sa range? Wala. Pila gani ang lower value? 237. Remember ano ganing error? The difference between the known value or the target value and the measured value. So pag may difference siya, meaning to say there is an error. So pag may error, do not release your result. Okay? So mag-process ka mo class ang patient sample. Usually ang pasunod is number 1, mablanking ka mo. So maran ka mo blank. Number 2, maran ka mo controls and standard. Number 3, maran ka mo sang patient sample. Okay? So, blank, standard and control, and then patient sample. Okay? So, hindi ka mo pwede ka-release ang patient sample, amuning measured value nyo kung wala ka mo ni ka-measure sang mga values ang inyo blank, sang control, sang inyong standard. Okay? So, na siya liwat ang control. Sa chemistry, ari ang HEMA. So, same man agyapon, may tatlo ka-klase ka-control sa HEMA, and that is normal. This is high pathologic, this is low pathologic. So, this is in hematology. So, may mga controls gita class na ginagamit before ta i-analyze ang patient sample. Kay, again, we want to determine if may precision or free of error ang aton nga analysis. Otherwise, hindi mag-release sang result kung wala ka run sang control or wala or not within the range ang control values ninyo. Okay? And then, speaking of mga calculations, sa ko kagina, gina-calculate, di ba, sa laboratory when we make controls. So, that's descriptive statistics. Okay? So, we can have the center, the spread, and the shape. So, this one. Speaking of measures of the center, we make use of the mean, median, and mode. I know that you are already familiar of this one. Okay, these are the 3 most commonly used descriptions of the center. That's why measures of center ang tawag sa iya. Okay, the 3 most commonly used descriptions of the center of a data set, like the mean, the median, or the mode. Ang mean is the average or the arithmetic mean. Okay, ang median, ang middle point, di ba? Middle point. Okay? So, dira mo na makita kung skewed ang data, kung ang tails ang imo nga curve, okay, is napa-left siya or napa-right siya. Okay? Ang mode, usually, amo ni siya ang pinakadamo nga value sa dataset. Okay? Sige, and in relation to that measures of the center, okay, we have the reference range or the normal range. Okay? So, the reference range or the normal range is the range of values one would expect in a defined population with no apparent clinical problems. So, buot silingon, ang reference range, dira ta na ginabase kung normal ang analyte sang pasyente or above the normal range siya or above or below the normal range siya. So, sang una, ginatawag na siya normal range, pero subong mas ginagamit na ang reference range because not all normal are normal. Diba? Basi normal ang iyang creatinine, pero abnormal iya glucose. Okay? So, it's more appropriate to say the glucose is within the reference range than to say the glucose is normal. Because the doctor would also check for the other conditions or pre-existing conditions of the patients. Okay? So that is the reference range. So this one class, what is this one? The curve, the bell-shaped curve. Okay, it's very obvious. Bell-shaped. So this is the Gaussian. The Gaussian, or that's the normal distribution curve. Okay, that was developed by Johann Carl F. Gauss. So the spelling is Johann. Okay, Johann Carl F. Gauss. That's why we call it as the Gaussian curve. Okay, the bell-shaped curve, the normal distribution curve. What you can see here in the middle is the mean, right? So this is the mean. Okay? Ang sa left side, yan ano nakita nyo nga symbol? Negative or positive? Negative. Ang sa right side, positive, of course. Okay? So this is the mean. On the left again, negative. On the right, positive. And as what I have said, class, usually when we are making control, we make use of the 95% confidence limit. Okay, like kaginahamba ko sa inyo, pila to ka patient, ang ginkuha nyo, tapos gin-combine nyo, ang ilang nga serum sample, tapos gin-measure nyo ang range ng control nila, di ba 20? Ang ko gina 20 sa classmates nyo, let's say, pangitaan pa, okay, kung ano ila glucose. Okay, pero pila lang ka percent ang accepted for you to say nga, ay, pwede ni siya magamit as a reference range. 95%. Pila na siya ka-SD ang 95%? Minus, ara siya class, minus 2SD to positive 2SD. Sa pila siya ka-percent? Okay, 95%. So, buo silingon, in constructing the reference ranges, normally, we make use of the 95%. Okay, the 2SD. And in 2SD, it is given that 95% of the population falls within the normal range. Kung 20 to katao, pila ang 95% sang 20? Diba? Buot silingon, 19 katao ang nag-fall sa normal range. So, kung may isa to sa classmate nimo nga ang iya nga values for glucose nagwa saya sa range nga gusto ninyo, nga gin-set ninyo, okay, buot silingon, hindi to siya pag-i-include, 19 lang ang i-include ninyo. And that 19 speaks of the 95%. So, okay lang na kay nag-fall siya within the 2SD. So, meaning to say, the use of the reference values carries with it the realization that for 5% of healthy population, buot silingon, 1% na siya. I mean, one person na siya out of the 20, siya na ang nag-fall outside the range. Kaya ang 19 within the range. So, ang 1 ni siya nga outside, that is the 5%. Ang 19, that is the 95%. It falls on the 2SD. Okay? Ang 1SD, 68% lang of the population. Ang 3SD, we have 99.7% of the population. So usually in constructing again the reference ranges, we use the 95% confidence limit. Okay, that's why sa statistics nyo ligad, pangita ko sa inyo ang p-value, di ba? And the p-value depends on the confidence limit nga ginagamit nyo sa laboratory or sa inyong experiment or sa inyong research. So like magamba, could be 95% confidence limit. So that is, okay, sa 2SD. So that's why, kung ang p-value is less than the 5%, which is 0.05, di ba, significant ang result. Kung greater than that, non-significant. Okay, because you use the confidence limit, which is the 95%. So if you use the 3SD, so malain naman na ang confidence limit, 1% na siya. So the p-value is less than 0.01. So we will have that in the statistics, but right now, for the reference ranges, normally, we would use the 2SD. And it comprises the 95% confidence limit that in 20 population, 20 individuals, only one person is outside of the reference range. Okay, that is the normal distribution curve, the Gaussian distribution curve. This one naman, mga skewed data. What is this one? This is the normal. Okay, so this is the mean, that's the highest, that's the mean, that's the peak. Okay, how about if you are talking about a negative skew? Di nang iya nga ikog. Ari ng mean niya, di nang laba sa ikog ya, ari sa left side. Diba, diri ng negative nga side, are ding positive. So that's why you call it as negative skew. Because the long tail is on the negative side of the peak. Where is the peak? This one, that's the mean. Okay, you call it as negative skew or skewed to the left. Okay, so meaning to say, more on ari sa left ang iyang mean, dutay lang ning ari sa right. Okay, how about the positive skew? This is the peak. So this one, long tail niya sa right. Okay, right side of the peak. So skewed to the right. Okay, remember the normal distribution curve is not skewed. So they are perfectly symmetrical. So that's why we make use of this one. Okay, and of course the mean is exactly at the peak. Okay, remember this one. This is the formula for the SD. Okay? And this one for the CV. Remember, ang CV, ano gani? It talks about precision, diba? The higher the CV, the more imprecise or lesser ang precision. Pero, pag lower ang CV, there is precision. So, more ang precision. Okay? So, the higher the CV, the more imprecise. Kay CV is coefficient. Okay? Coefficient of variation. Coefficient of variation. But silingon, pag may variation ang result mo, they are different from each other. So, the higher the variation, the more imprecise your process is. Okay? But the lower the variation, the more precise the process is. So, anong formula sang CV? Okay, CV is equal to SD divided by the mean times 100. Mean is siya class 1, may bar sa babaw. Okay? Ang imo naman yung nga SD is the square root of the summation of the number of values minus the mean and then squared over and the number of values minus 1. Okay, that's the summary of, the formula of the SD. Okay? Sige, for the mean class, again, this is the arithmetic mean or the average. So there is a bar there, arithmetic mean. Okay, may bar na siya sa babaw ang X. It's the average of 2 or more measurements obtained by dividing the sum of replicate measurements by the number of what? Measurements in the set. For example, hamera ka 10, 8, 5, 8, 9. O, pila ang mean? Pilang average? Sige be, what is the average there? So you have to add everything, 10 plus 8, plus 5, plus 8, plus 9. So that is 40. Divided by how many? Number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divide by 5. So that would give you 8. So that's the mean. The mean is 8. Average lang man. Okay? Sa inyong statistics, tuluan ta kamo kung paano kuha sang sum, sang average, sang values, itumukon nyo ng tong autosum, di ba? Kadamdam ka mo. Okay? Sige, again, this one. O, pwede na summation of x over n. Okay? So, this one, summation of x. So, what is the summation of x? O, 40, kay gina-add mo ni tanan. Over n, what is the n? Pila sa kabilog, the number of values. So, the number of measurements in a set. So, 5 sila. That's for the mean. About median, is the middle value in a set of data that has been arranged in numerical order. Okay, numerical order. Like for example, you have 1, 8, 7, 3, 5, 4, 6. Oh, ano ang inyong median? Of course, i-arrange mo na anay. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, anong sa tunga nila? Of course, ang 5. That's the median because you arrange it in numerical order. Okay? And the median is used advantageously when a set of data contain an outlier. Anong outlier, class? Arab lang tayog-tayog na ginagyan nga result. Like kung may glucose ka, let's say nga 95, katatlo mo begin analyze. So, another is 94, iyaya 300. So, very obvious. Okay, significantly different from the other. So, that's an outlier. So, if there is an outlier, then probably there is an error. Okay, so you can use the median in order to check for the outliers. Okay, because, again, ang median, okay, gaka-apektuhan siya sang, ang outlier, gina-affect niya ang mean, pero wala siya effect sa median. That's why you can use the median if there is an outlier. Pero sa mean, kay tanan nga data set is included, then medyo sala man gyapon ang result mo kung gamitan mo siya sang mean average. Pero kung median, okay lang kay ma-eliminate ang outlier. Okay? Sige, next one. How about naman, class, kung even numbers ang inyo nga nga set, data set. So, paano nyo kwaon ang median? Okay? So, seryosin niyo. Find the median. So, anong obrahon ninyo? This one. So, you arrange first. So, you have 3, and then 4, then 5, 5, what else? Another 5, and then 6, 7. So, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, pila ang median ninyo? It's 5. Tama kay tatlo, di tatlo. Di ara siya sa tunga. Middle value. How about this one? 5, 4, 6, 8, 9, 7. So, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, pila kabilog? 6. So, wala sila tunga. So, what will you do? You add 6 plus 7, that is 13. Tama? 6 plus 7 is 13. Divide nyo sa 2. Divide by 2, that is 6.5. So, the median is 6.5. Okay? So, if odd numbers, then, ang sa tunga, okay, amo ng median. Pag even numbers, you have to get the average of the two middle values. Pero, don't forget nga i-rank nyo sila anay in order. Okay? Sige, how about the mode? Ano lang yung mode? Yung repetitive value. The most frequently occurring value in a data set. So, this one. Kisala ni galing class, ginagamit ang mode sa mga data set. Okay? However, although nga seldomly gina-use ni siya, okay, it is usually referred to if ang data mo bala hindi normal distribution. Okay? Skewed siya ang imong nga data. So, like this one, anong frequently occurring value? So, the mode is 5. Dere. May 5, ano pa gid? May 9. So, anong mode nyo? 5 and 9. Okay? So, the most frequently occurring, okay, values in a data set. Okay, as what I have said earlier, the median is not affected usually by an outlier, but the mean is affected. So, why is it so? Why is the median important? Okay? It is not affected by extreme values or outliers. It gives a better representation when the data are skewed or have errors. Amot hambal ko kagina. Ang mean class, ang mean, okay, ang mean, gakaapektuhan, okay, sang outlier. Ang median, wala gakaapektuhan sang outlier. Okay, pareho na sang example nyo dira. Okay, sa inyo dang notes may example kamo. Ang blood glucose ng patient tested how many times? 5 times. O anong i-results ng patient? 92, 97, 95, tapos 250 and 90. That is in milligrams per DL, di ba? O, mas spot nyo na tayo ng outlier. What is the outlier? 250, right? O, lantawan nyo, anong median dire? What is the median? Sige, be? What's your answer? What's the median? Di ba, i-arrange nyo na 92, 95, ay sorry, may 90. Pagalit, 90. What else? 97 and 250. Oh, what's the median? Of course, 95. That's the median. Tama? O, anong outlier? O, 250. Tama? That's the outlier. So, if the median is to be used for the reporting of the result, then hindi siya affected sang outlier. So, meaning to say, kung median ang basihan mo, you will use the 95 milligrams per DL as the patient's blood glucose. Tama? O, anong matabo kung i-average nyo, kung paano nyo bilang mean? O, anong tatanan ha? 92 plus 97 plus 95 plus 250 plus 90. O, what's the total? 624 divided by how many values? Divided by 5. So, divided by 5. What's the blood glucose of patient? 124.8. So, nakita nyo, kung mean ang ginapangita naton, affected, gid siya katama sang outlier. 95 lang dapat class O ang blood glucose ng patient. But if you use the average, the mean, then the value of the blood glucose of the patient will be higher. So, that's why the median is more important, or should I use more advantageous, okay, when, okay, there is an outlier or when the data is skewed or have errors, because again, the median is not affected by extreme values or outliers. The mean is. Okay? So, ari lang siya class O. So, what's the median there? 95, ari 250 ang outlier. Okay? Again, ari lang siya class O. 184.8. O, this suggests high glucose, which may be misleading. Tama? Ang middle value naman, 95 median. So, this better represents the patient's true glucose level. So, meaning to say, ang aring nga outlier, basi may error na siya. So, if you include that in your obtained values in your data set, and that will be your reference for obtaining the patient's blood glucose level, then the result of the patient will be erroneous as well. Okay? O, sige, this one naman. O, 88, 90, 92, 300. Anong outlier? So, 300. Anong median? O, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 90 plus 92, pila? Okay, 180. Okay, 90 plus 92, that gives you 182 divided by 2. That's why 91. Okay, so nakita nyo, ang outlier 300. But the median is still accurate despite the extreme values, despite the outlier. Okay? Sige, class, any question? Question? Okay? Let's proceed to this one. O, amo ni class ang ginagamit sa laboratory, ang ginahimo ta sa laboratory. If we want to set for the reference range, pila to gani ka percent ang reference range? Pila to ka percent ang reference range? 95%, no? So, ano nga SD ang ginagamit, ha? 2SD. Okay, like for example, class, from day 1 to day 10, okay, nag-analyze ka, let's say, blood glucose ang pasyente, glucose ni sa class, ha? Okay? Tapos, ang values niya in milligrams per day, alam mo ng XIA, 18, 18.1, 18.2, 17.9, 18, 17.8, 18.1, 18, 18.2, and 17.9. So, what's the summation of that? 180.2 divided by N. Diba? Ang mean is summation of X over N. That's the mean. So, that's the mean. So, 180 divided by 10. So, what is the mean? The mean is 18.2. So, we convert it to 18. Tama? So, this one, mean minus x. So, what is the mean? 18 minus 18. So, that gives you 0. Tama? And then this one, okay? Minus x, 0. Squared mo lang. This one, 0.1, 0.1, and this one, 0.01. Okay? X minus mean man na siya. Okay? Ay, sorry, class mean na di galit dari o. Kaya di ang formula sang SD. Kindly correct this one. O, ara. Diba? SD is X minus mean. Tama? So, this one, okay, this one, amuning mean. Okay, remove na. So, that is X minus mean. Okay, so this one, X minus mean squared. So, 18, okay, minus 18, that's 0. 18.1 minus 18, 0.1 squared, 0.01. 18.2 minus 18.2 squared, etc. So, amula na siya. Okay? Nga, ubrahon yun na klasa. Okay, manu-manu ni siya. Pero pwede nyo na tumukon sa calculator kag sa inyo nga Excel, tuduan ta lang ka muna. Okay? But for manual nga method, you can do it like this. So, you get the mean, 18. Ano ang summation of x minus x. Okay? So, huwa, I'll give you another one. So, insert lang ko. Wait lang. Insert another blank. Okay. This one. Ano ganing summaries ang summary? Ang formula sang mean, summation of x over n. So, that is, what's the summation of x? That's 180.2 kagina divided by 10. So, that's why ang mean ta is 18.2, which we converted it to 18. So, that's the mean. So, that's why pag solve ta di kagina, amo na, mean minus x. Correct nyo ni ha, x minus mean na siya dapat. Okay, ara siya x minus mean squared. Okay? Sige, how about the SD? Ano yung formula sang SD? SD is equal to the square root of the summation of x minus mean squared over n minus 1. Di ba? Kung nakuha ng mean. Ang XD, ano to ganing summation of x minus mean squared? Ano tong summation kagina? 0.16. Tama? So, 0.16 divided by, what's the n? 10 minus 1. Ginabato-bato ko na sa inyong class ha para makita nyo karon ang formula. Kaya ara na sa next part ng notes ninyo. What is the answer here? 0.16 divided by 9. That is 0.13. So, class, ang first SD, which is pila to ka% ang first SD? Okay, that is 68%. So, the first SD is 0.13. So, wala pa tada natapos. Diba? Ang aton nga reference range, gintawag siya kay naka-range siya. Tama? So, how will you get the reference range? Okay, so, you have the mean plus minus 1 SD. Okay, you have the mean plus minus 2 SD. The mean plus minus 3 SD. Pila ganing ginagamitan ta for the reference interval. Okay, ang 1 SD is 68%, 2 SD is 95%, 3 SD is 99.7%. Tama? So, how will you get, okay, the first SD? Mean minus, plus minus, 1 SD. So, what is the mean? 18 plus minus, what's the first SD? Okay, very good. 0.13. So, what will be your answer? 18 minus 0.13, pila? Unahon yung minus, syempre kay low limit kag upper limit kita. So, 18 minus 0.13, that is 17.9. And 18 plus 0.13. Okay, 18.1 na lang ah. Okay, 18.13. Pwede nyo man mabuta nga 18 point, ano. So, we have 18 plus 0.13. So, 18.13. Pwede lang na. Galigin 1 decimal place ko. So, 18 minus 0.13. So, pwede na 7.87. Okay? So, 1 decimal place ko lang. So, the values, the units are milligrams per DL. Okay, let's proceed with the 2SD. What's the mean again? 18 plus minus. 2SD. 2 times 0.13. So, pila na siya ang 2SD? Okay, 0.26. Tama? So, 18 minus 0.26, that's 17.7. 18 plus 0.26, 18.26 or 18.3. That's milligrams per DL. Class nga, ginaano ko how, ginawa ang decimal place ko. Kaya kung mag-plot ka mo sa Gaussian distribution curve, buot silingon, okay, buot silingon ano? Buot silingon, hapos na lang. Okay? Sige, next one. How about the 3XD? 18 plus minus 3.13 times 0.13. Pila ang 3 times 0.13? 0.39. Diba? Oh, what's the 18 minus 0.39? 17.62, 18.4. That's milligrams per DL. O mag-plot ka mo sa Gaussian curve. What will you do? If this is the Gaussian curve, okay, forgive me of my skew data. This is the mean. O, what is the mean? 18, tama? 18.0 man. O, ang pinakanubo nyo ng values, ano? 17.6. 18. So, we have, this is 18.1, 18.2, 3, 4, 5. This is 18.5. Tama? This one, 17.9, 17.8, 7, 6, 5. This is 17.5. Right? O, anong inyong first SD? 17.9 to 18.1. Tama? So, this is 17.9 to 18.1. So, that is the first SD. No? O, what's the 2SD? 17.7 to 18.3. 6, 7. So, this is 17.7 to 18.3. So, this is your 2SD. O, what's the 3SD? 17.6 to 18.4. 17.6 to 18.4. That's the 3SD. So, nakita nyo, so when you plot in the Gaussian curve, okay, it will be easier if you have the whole number or at least one decimal place. Kay karon class, kung gin 2 decimal places ko to, ayawan ta na karon plot sang data. Okay, so that is how we are going to determine, okay, the reference ranges given the set of data. So hopefully kabalo na kamo kung paano ni siya kwaon. So kindly repeat the video discussion that I have para at least may idea kamo on how to get this. But I will also teach you on how to do this in Excel. Kay magic na lang ni siya sa Excel. Okay? So this one lang class ora ang mean 18. Ang first SD 0.13. Para sa 17.9 to 18.1, 17.7 to 18.3, and 17.6 to 18.4. Okay? Sige, let's proceed. How about this one? Absolute error. The absolute error of a measurement tells how far off our measurement is from the true or actual value. Okay, like absolute error is equal to measured value to the true value. Pag positive ang result, meaning to say, ang measured value mo mas taas na siya sang sa true value nga supposedly amo na. Kung negative naman ang absolute error mo, buot silingon, ang measured value mo is lower than the true value. So there is an error, diba? An error is the difference between the measured value and the true or known value. Okay, so the absolute error class will tell you how far off your measurement is from the true or actual value. For example, this is patient number 1. A laboratory is measuring again the glucose level in a blood sample. The true glucose level from a highly accurate reference method is 100 milligrams per DL. Ano gani aton nga formula? Absolute error is equal to measured value minus the true value. So what's the measured value? 105 para class. Minus what's the true value? 100. So what's the error? Positive or negative? Of course, positive. So 5 milligrams per DL. Is this a positive absolute error or negative absolute error? Of course, that is a positive absolute error. Measured value is higher than the true value. Pila ang difference? May 5 milligrams per DL ka. nga error. Buot silingon, you have overestimated the true glucose level by how many milligrams per DL? By 5 milligrams per DL. So, na-overestimate, nagtaas ang result sang glucose value sang patient nga dapat, ano lang siya, 100 milligrams per DL, nagsubra kaya sa 5. Kay kung i-compare mo sa true reference value or known value, 100 lang, imo yung result 5. Is it clear? So that's the absolute error. Okay, kadumdum ka mo sang term kung nagligad ang absolute kag relative, you will apply it here. Okay? Sige. How about this one? The true glucose is 100 milligrams per DL again. And this time around, 95 na. So absolute error is equal to the measured value minus the true value. So what's the measured value? 95. True value, 100. So what's the result? Negative 5 milligrams per DL. Buot silingon, ano naman niya? You have underestimated the glucose value of the patient by 5 milligrams per DL. Nagnubo ka naman by 5 milligrams per DL. You get me? So, amo na siyang absolute error. Okay? The absolute error tells you how far the result, the measured value is from the true value, the reference value. Okay, how about this one? Relative. Hamba ko ligad ang relative in comparison to. In comparison to. Okay? In proportion to. Tama? It's usually expressed in percentage, but it depends also on the method that you are using. But in the laboratory, usually ang relative nga values, we express it in percentage. That's why may times 100% ni siya. Okay? ER naman niya, hindi niya EA. Okay, ER or the relative error, okay, shows the error as a fraction of the true value. Kumbaga, as the portion of the true value, kung pila ka percent, okay, ang error nga ara dira. So, mas useful ni siya class because this gives us the percent relative error. That's why you call this also as percent error. So, aside from deducting the measured value from the true value, aside from deducting the true value from the measured value, the way you do it in the absolute error determination, you divide it with the true value. So, times 100. Kumbaga, ang absolute error, i-divide mo lang sa true value, and then to express it in a relative error, times 100. Parehas din eh. This one. The true value is 100. Measured value is 105. So, measured value minus true value divided by the true value. Wala na siya class percent, ha? You remove this. Okay? That's the true value. Times 100. So, the percent error, the relative error is 5%. Positive. Sa patient 2 naman, negative 5%. Okay? So, sa diri nga example, pareho sila 5 kag 5. So, medyo hindi nyo pa makita kung nga mas useful sa relative error. Again ha, the absolute error class tells you how far your measurement is. Kung ano ka off, kung ano kalayo sa result mo from the true value. Ang relative error naman niya class, it tells you how significant the error is, okay, in the context of making the measurement. So, mas useful siya mag-compare result, especially kung mga higher values na ang ginaistoryahan nato. Like, for example, in evaluating an instrument, in performing quality control, so mas useful si relative error. Okay? Kay gina-determine niya kung significant gid bala ang error. Kay kung absolute error lang, ti ang 5, ano na siya? Ti ano karon kung nubo or taas sa 5 milligrams per DL? Is it that significant or not? Pero ang relative error will tell you if the error is really significant or not. Okay, parehas niyo. This one. This is the true value. Again, class, 100 lang. Hamba ko mas useful kung higher nga values. So again, ang absolute error is 5 milligrams per DL. Relative error, 5%. So makambal ka nga, ay, dudako ni siyang 5%. Compared sa 200 milligrams per DL nga true value, ari 100, ari 200. So measured value is 205. So ang relative error niya is 2.5% lang. Si absolute error, wala galain. 'Di ba? 200 man or 100, wala siya galain. Pero si relative error can tell you if it is really significant or not. syempre, mas minor ni nga error ang 2.5% as compared to this significant error nga 5%. Remember, sa confidence interval, we are using the 2SD, 95% confidence limit. 5% error is significant at low levels, 2.5 errors, okay, are minor at high levels. Okay, and of course, whenever our process is error-free, we can get this one. High precision, high accuracy. So this is just again an illustration of a process with high precision, with low precision and low accuracy. This one precise siya pero hindi siya accurate. This one accurate siya pero imprecise siya. This one precise and accurate. So amo ning aton nga aim gid, may precision kag may accuracy. Okay? And this one, review lang. Which test has a better precision? Anong lantawon nyo da ang mean, ang SD, or ang CV? Amo ning test A, amo ning test B. Ano ganing lantawon ta for precision, hambal ko? It's the CV. Ano gani ang formula sang CV? SD divided by mean times 100. Tama? So that's why 10.2 divided by 59.9. Sige, i-review ta ko yung sakto da akong example. 10.2 divided by 59.9 times 100. O, tama, 17.03 kay 17.028. Ari, 12.7 divided by 44.8 times 100. O, that is 28.35. So, the in ang mas may better nga precision. Ano ganyan ba? Kulang tawon nyo si CV. Because again, CV is coefficient of variation. The higher the variation, the more imprecise. The lower the variation of the result, the more precise. So, hindi ang may better precision. Siyempre, si test A, kay lower ang variation sang result niya than test B. Mas higher iya nga CV. So, amo nang lantawon nyo class sa laboratory, lantawon nyo ang CV para mabalaan nyo kung precise din man ang inyo nga process. Okay? Let's go to the types of error. So we have 3 types of errors in the laboratory. So normally we have generally in clinical chemistry, ang permita lang gid gina-discuss is systematic and random error. Okay? But in analytical chemistry, gin-separate ni siya sa inyong libro ang gross error. Okay? Tandaan nyo lang class ha, si systematic error, it's a determinate na nga error. Determinate nga error. Ga-affect na siya sa accuracy sang result. Kay sulit-sulit na ni nga error. Pero, si random, indeterminate. Okay? Indeterminate ni siya. And usually, this affects the precision. Dili ka na makakita mga outliers sa random error. Kumbaga, sa ilang duha, ang mas repetitive na error is the systematic error. Okay? Ang gross error naman class, usually this occurs occasionally, okay? And usually high or low niyang inyo result depende sa situation. Kaya usually class, ang gross error is human error. Okay? Human errors. Okay? Or sometimes sa clinical chemistry, ang human error nagaka-include na siya sa random error. But in the case of analytical chemistry, again, this was included in, again, the gross error, human error. For example, class ha, sino ni sala, nag-prepare ka sang solusyon, tapos pa-precipitate mo siya, tapos wala mo na include ang precipitate kay kinahanglan mo to. So, pag weigh mo sang precipitate, kulang. So, sino sala, mo. Diba? Kay nadula ang precipitate sa imong nga process, sa laing mga process. Okay? Or bisan mag-ano ka na lang, mag-read ka na lang sa analytical balance, for example. Ang bisi tungtong mo lang da ang specimen cup, gintandog mo yang specimen cup sang imo nga kamot. So pati ang kamot mo nadala to sa weighing. Simple as that. So that is gross error. Okay? And as what I have said, the gross error sometimes, okay, is included in the random error because the random error class, again, sometimes ga-occur lang na siya once. Kaghapos lang na siya i-correct kung madakpan mo na ang error. Kung nakaba, kaya la sala akong pag-weigh, na-include ko to ang weighing, ang akon nga kamot, dapat wala ko to gintandog ang analytical balance sa muna. So, mahapos siya ma-detect. Pero si systematic error, determinate na siya. Kaya nga, sulit-sulit, nagkakatabo. That's why it can affect the accuracy of the sample. Okay? And take note class, the gross error can lead to or can result to having outliers. Okay? So, dira mo makita, ito ka-extreme niya sang values. Base sa la lang ang medtech na nag-process or base may sala lang sa process. Okay? What is an outlier again? Okay, the result is significantly different from other results. Okay, another term is bias. Ang bias class, usually it measures systematic error. Okay, not the random or gross error. Okay, and it has a negative sign. If it has a negative sign, okay, silingon, okay, sorry, it has a negative sign if it causes the results to be low and a positive sign otherwise. So, silingon, kung nubo ang result, negative. Kung taas ang result, positive. So, bias. Usually, okay, it measures systematic error. So, you will have a lot of that in your clinical chemistry. Okay, anong mga examples ng random errors? Kuliwat random errors, part of that is a human error. So, may sudden change. There is no trends or means of predicting the errors. And usually, nag-occur lang ang error, hambako sa inyo, once lang. Because it is an accidental error. Sometimes included in that is the gross error again and the human error. And it is beyond the control of the person making the measurement. Like sudden change in the temperature, sudden humidity, voltage fluctuation. Okay, so hindi nyo na yan makontrol. Naglain ng temperature sa room, ang refda, ang humidity, ang voltage nag-fluctuate. So you do not control that one. It's beyond the control of the person making the measurement. It's beyond the control of the medtech. Okay, pag human error naman, for example, mislabeling of the sample. So random error na siya. What else? Improper mixing of the sample and reagent. Nagbutang ka da sample sa test tube, tapos gidugangan mo reagent. So, wala mo na mix properly. So, random error na siya. Okay? And then, again, nag-fluctuate ang voltage or ang mga temperature. So, random error, sudden change, accidental error that occurs usually once. So, pag ginliwat mo ang process, make sure mo na nga na-mix mo yung sample, kagang reagent, makorek lang man siya dayon. So, that's why random error. Whereas, a systematic error is usually because of your machine or your instrument or your measuring device, and it is usually called a zero error. Kung si random error nag-occur only once, this is a repeating error. So may makita ka nga trend. Okay? Sa clinical chemistry, duha ni siya ka-term ang trend kag ang shift. Basta mabatian yun ni ang duha, trend kag shift, systematic error na siya. Okay? But for now, amo na naanay. Damo pa reasons, ano ang shift, ano ang trend. So you will have a lot of that in your third year. But for now, if you see the words shift and trend, that refers to systematic errors. And this one can be removed by correcting the measurement device. Buot silingon, sala ni siya guro kay wala mo na calibrate ang machine. Or bisa nag-calibrate ka, hindi gyapon mag-give insakto nga reading ang machine. Or the sample itself is unstable. Okay, there is instability in the sample. Okay, or the standard materials are already expired. Itong standard solution expired na or may mga changes na nag-deteriorate na siya. So, anong ubrahon mo? Pwede ka ka-prepare new control, new standard, etc. Okay, or ma-restandardize ka, ma-recalibrate ka, or gamit ka na lang bagong reagent, ihaboy na itong mga daan. So, again, systematic errors are repeating errors because the problem itself is in your analysis, in your instrument, in your machine, in your measuring device, or even in the solutions that you are using in the laboratory. Okay? And another thing, don't forget the shift and the trend. This one. How about this one? So the three types of systematic errors, you have the instrumental errors, the method errors, and personal errors. Instrumental errors is because, again, of the instrument. Like faulty calibrations, okay, or mga inappropriate conditions when you are using the instruments. So, instrumental errors. Method errors, okay, non-ideal chemical or physical behavior of analytic systems. So, ang method mo, is it appropriate? Like, for example, when you analyze again the glucose, are you using the hexokinase method? Are you using the colorimetric method? Or ano da nga method ang ginagamit mo? Okay, so if it is non-ideal for the testing process, why use that one? Okay, and of course, personal errors result from carelessness, inattention, or personal limitations of the experimenter. Inyo niya klasala. Okay, ang personal errors. Okay, so here you have a diagram showing this one. Okay, may error, are, imprecise, okay, sabad sang gatawag. And then this one, okay, precise. So, diin di siya class ang random, diin di ang systematic error. Okay, this one, okay, din ang random, din ang systematic error. Okay? Din da gani ang systematic error? Ha? What will be your answer? Okay? So, that will be your assignment. I-identify nyo ano ni siya, random ni siya nga error, systematic error ni siya. It affects the precision. Diba? This one, it affects the accuracy of the result na mention ko na sa una nga discussion. Review that one so that you will have an answer here. That will be your assignment. So these are my references, and that ends my discussion. Thank you.